So for the insecurity for me, real quick, I grew up in a house with, I mentioned the environment that I grew up in, so a little chaotic. I grew up around violence in an environment, but in my house, my old man, Vietnam War vet, PTSD, rageaholic, alcoholic, and a mother who was emotionally numb and closed off, particularly to me. So not the strongest foundation to create a secure human being, right? So for me, that developed really, really severe insecurity around everything, around, myself, fitting in my own skin, comfort speaking. It was always kind of walking on eggshells ever since I was a kid, which made me want to externalize a lot of that, right? Which I mentioned, the Jordans, the music, whatever it was, right? Like trying to pull a girl's number and then bragging about it, because those were things that I thought were giving me a sense of security and self-esteem, but they weren't. Those were all facades. They were false senses of self-esteem, right? So, that insecurity is something I still struggle with every single day, but keeping it at the forefront of my mind, and because it's not something I've let people see. People don't think, he's like, oh, this guy's charismatic, he's funny, he's confident, all this. It's like, nah, dude, I'm barely surviving in there. I'm doing all this because I'm grotesquely insecure inside. The chaos, like you talked about, the self-talk. I mean, again, as a coping mechanism from that insecure childhood, I developed a severe anxiety disorder ever since I was a kid, and was just able to get rid of it actually this past year. But it was constant chaos in my mind as a result of it, negative self-talk, beating myself up all the time. That chaos also too has to do, ADHD, depression, OCD, all the D's, I got them. But the chaos in my mind around, like, why are you doing this? Why aren't you better? Why aren't you good enough? Why you should be, the compare and despair, that constant chaos in my head, dude, that I didn't really let people see, because if I let people see that, it's like, they're not going to like me. Why would I say that out loud? Nobody wants to hear that shit. And then the last one, dude, self-portraits. Anytime, when social media first came about, like I was not immune to posting a negative comment on somebody's page, or like making a joke about someone at their expense. You know why? Because I was painting a self-portrait of how I really felt about myself. Anytime I exhibit negativity or hate towards the world, or towards a system, or towards a person, it's a self-reflection. It's me looking in the mirror. It's me externalizing that on someone else, so I don't have to look inside and look at it myself, because that's the hard work. That's the painful work. So while I might, and I'll give an example of, like, if I say something negative about, when I first started doing stand-up comedy, I was negative towards other comics. I was like, he only does jokes about this, blah, blah, blah. Like, what, why is he doing that? Or I would criticize other people about their material. When in actuality, I was just upset that my jokes weren't fucking better. It was a self-portrait. So anytime, and I try to tell guys this, because a lot of guys are reluctant, especially they're creative, they want to start a YouTube channel, they want to, do a TikTok, whatever it is, they hold off on it because of the negativity that exists on these platforms. Let me tell you something, dude. Anybody that posts something of hate or negativity or criticism is a direct reflection of how they feel about themselves, whether they know it or not. And 99% of people don't know that. Right? That it's a self-portrait, because they don't want to look at it, dude. It's why it's why this country loves reality TV. Yeah. You know why? Because they love to look at people who are more fucked up than them. Right? It's not like, Kim K, yeah, she's great, she's fun. It's like, no, Kim K's a moron, because I don't have to look at myself and look at, how stupid I am, or how I'm not doing in my own life. You know what I mean? And that's been me, bro. So I got to call it out. It's a mask. It's been on behind my mask for a long time, and I'm trying to get better at it. Anytime I have a moment of negativity, I have to stop and look within, and see what that's about.
Oh yeah, that's power. Yeah, thank you. I'm taking this in because I think about, like, the work that we do with these young men in our schools, and like when they're being super, like, mean to each other, and I have to, like, okay, so how do I help this along in a healthy way, right? You can say, don't do that, blah blah blah. That's short lived.
Right.
How do you help them without fancy words? How do you help them see that what they're doing is this projecting on others, and how they're doing it so that people don't pay attention to them, right? And how do you do it? Like, if you're, I can smash with some words, right? But that's not the goal. That's not the intent.
Right.
The intent is to learn. And I think for my own self, like, okay, this person is irritating me. This person is, I want to write something. And I have this file on my phone that says, not sent. Like,
yeah, I
wrote it, but not sent, right?
I love that, dude. Abraham Lincoln did that. Abraham Lincoln wrote letters like to one of the generals who let Robert E. Lee escape. He was so pissed. He was so livid. And he wrote a letter to him and he said, how dare you? And he used all the 1800 Civil War versions of F-bombs in that old timey English. And he wrote the letter out. And on the front of it, he said, not to be sent. And he had a whole stack of those things, dude. And it's so cathartic and therapeutic for us.
I'm going to find that. I don't know about that, but I'm going to find it because that's powerful.
Yeah, dude. I appreciate you sharing that. Yeah, it's true. It's powerful.